No positive change, no dismantling of structural injustice has ever come about without people going outside of electoral politics and what seems politically realistic in that moment. The politics of the possible. This is a quote from Baba Vakian. The politics of the possible is the politics of monstrosity. If you restrict yourself to what seems politically possible as the rulers of the society and the normal functioning of it presents itself, you are accepting and accommodating atrocity. Why did people walk across the Edmund Pettus Bridge? Because they wanted to make what was politically impossible possible, because they refused to accept a world where black people were openly terrorized, subjugated, and lynched. It's the same with the LGBTQ movements, the same with what had happened against the Vietnam War. This was not by sitting back and calculating political possibilities. People got out of bounds and they changed what was possible. Every major social cataclysm, and they say this about revolutions, but also when regimes are unseated short of revolution, they say it always looks impossible the day before it happens. And the day after, everybody says, well, that was inevitable. And so I would just want to say, if we start with what seems realistic and possible, we are giving up the future. And it is unacceptable. And I don't just say that because, like, let's believe the impossible. You know, Alice in Wonderland, I think about 6 impossible things every morning before breakfast. I'm not saying impossible really. I'm saying impossible according to politics as usual, but eminently possible in the material world if you look at the millions who do not want this. And there were millions who got involved in the struggle against the Vietnam War. Nixon had to withdraw the troops from Vietnam. That's not what he wanted to do. He wanted to escalate and threaten nuclear war. He was actually compelled to leave power prematurely because of the overall crisis in society that was not just from the people, but largely by the uprising of the people, combining with contradictions among the rulers and the institutions themselves. And I will say today, unseating a fascist regime is a whole different order of struggle and challenge than even stopping the Vietnam War. But it is more possible today because there are more people being jolted and whose sense of what's decent and right is being violated in society and in the ruling institutions. And when you have a situation where Trump is calling Reagan-appointed judges lunatic, Marxists, and communists and creating an atmosphere where they are getting death threats, when you have a situation where the military generals are being purged of black and women leaders and Confederate generals are being re-enshrined as the names of the bases, you don't think you have a lot of dissension within the military? You don't think you have a lot of dissension within the court system? You don't think you have a lot of people within every institution of government who are deeply divided over this? If there was a struggle from below, there are a lot of splits that could open up in these institutions, and a lot of people who could act in ways that seem impossible today, but could come to the fore if there was a massive, sustained, unrelenting pressure from below. It is 100% realistic and possible. Guaranteed? No, but absolutely possible. And what is guaranteed is if we sit back and wait for politics as usual, we will be swallowed by a nightmare and a horror. Not just us, but immigrants, black people, trans people, women, and people all over the world whose lives are being destroyed by this regime already, and the whole climate destruction they are accelerating. If the guarantee is if we do not oust this regime, it will be a nightmare beyond what most people can imagine.